I hope you can join me in welcoming my next guest, musical theatre performer, ballroom champion, dancer, Joanne Clifton. Take a look at our interview. First question is kind of where I start with everyone. Where does your love of dance and theatre, the arts in general, come from?
Well, I was born into a ballroom dancing family. There was literally nothing else I could have done. Because I don't know if anyone knows my brother, but we're from Strictly, Kevin. He was a dancer and he's my older brother. My parents were ballroom competitive dancers. My grandparents were, literally the whole family. Saying that, my parents didn't want us to dance because even though they had the dance school up in Grimsby, they didn't want us to dance because they know how much sacrifice, how much like disappointment and stuff we'd get and how much money we'd have to spend. And so they didn't want us there. But like when Grandma and Granddad couldn't look after us and babysit, we'd have to go to their dance classes with them. And Kev would start getting up and dancing. And because he did that, I always just copied exactly what Kevin did. So I'd get up as well. And then they just couldn't stop us. They saw that we loved it. And so they were like, well, we're not going to say no, are we? So we started dancing. And I guess the theatre side of it comes from the fact that when Dad used to drive us down to London or to Liverpool, where we would have ballroom lessons with other teachers, because Dad couldn't teach my brother because they'd argue all the time. We would just have on like cassette tapes, we're that old, cassette tapes of like the likes of Marty Webb, Shirley Bassey, Michael Crawford singing musical theatre songs. And it was Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat that we went to see first, and Cats. And we'd always listen to these tapes. So we grew up with musical theatre songs, and I'd be in the back giving it face and giving it this, performing every song with Shirley Bassey or somebody like that singing the other musical songs. And I guess that's where we've got the love. We both got the love for both dancing and musical theatre.
Yeah, so you kind of like were almost like born into that industry.
Yeah, couldn't do anything else. Saying that though, I don't know whether I'm going to ruin one of your next questions, but saying that though, the musical theatre, Kevin always wanted to do dancing. He was the most competitive starting out, like between the two of us. I was more chilled and I just went along with things. It swapped then. But I got to a point where I was like, I think I want to go to musical theatre school. And Mum and Dad were like, well, we'll support you in either one, but we can't afford to do. So can you pick one? So I got to that point. We split up dancing with Kevin because it got weird doing rumba with your brother. Anyway. Yeah. And then I kind of was like put in front of a choice because they just couldn't afford to do both. So I chose dancing. I chose that to be like the safe way. So, because my parents knew about it and my whole family had grown up in it. I knew the industry more. So I just carried on. I moved to Italy at 16 to carry on with that. So I couldn't have my little singing or acting lessons anymore. Stayed there for 14 years. Got to where I wanted to be in my dancing. Came back to England to do Strictly, and while Strictly wasn't on, I started training again in musical theatre. So it was like a joint thing. So I had Strictly and then all my lessons, and then started doing like fringe shows, and then the bigger shows. I'm a full believer in like everything happens for a reason. Like there was a reason why I chose that dancing, and at the end of the day, maybe if I'd have chosen the other way, I would have I wouldn't be where I am now, because I'm where I am now because of carrying on with the dancing, getting a few titles under my belt, which then got me noticed for Strictly. From Strictly, I can build up my profile and my money to invest in lessons and training, which I didn't get when I was younger.
Yeah.
And now it's brought me full circle to actually where I want to be. And I've been so grateful and so lucky that I've been able to do both things in my life.
Yeah, I was just going to say that actually, although you made that choice when you were so young, you've actually kind of had the best of both worlds. You've done both.
Yeah, grateful. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful.
Tell us about the discipline required when you were competing. What did you have to really hone in on? What skills did you have to have? What was the discipline like? Tough.
I mean, my parents, as I said, they knew from being competitors themselves, so they kind of like drilled that into us from a young age. Not too much though. I got the majority of the discipline stuff when I went to Italy, but it was like just little things. I had to make sacrifices, like at weekends when all my school friends would be having sleepovers and going, I don't know, to a theme park or Alton Towers or something together. I couldn't go because I was always like traveling somewhere for lessons or a competition or something. I couldn't go to like birthday parties that were ice skating rinks, you know, when you're a kid and everyone goes ice skating for a party. I had to sit at the side because if I got an injury, you know, we might have been training for the British Championship, and you've just got to, I think there is a bit of a balance there. You do need to balance it, otherwise you drive yourself mental. But if you love something so much and you always remember that, and you have a goal, then you are willing to do that, to do those sacrifices. But when I got to Italy, that's when it really got, like, I would be in that studio from 7 a.m. in the morning till 11 at night, every day, sorry. And it was just, you have to teach to get to earn your money, to then take your lessons. There's a sports diet that you had to follow.
Yeah.
You had to do, it was like a little military. You had to go to the gym and train with the club's personal trainer for at least 8 hours a week. You had to do that, otherwise you get thrown out the club. You had to do stamina training, as in like the actual dancing stamina training, as well as the gym. You had to do that at least 2 sessions a week. When you had a competition, let's say in Singapore, and the time difference was different, my coach would have us in dancing at 4 a.m. doing like a competition stamina practice at 4 a.m. and you had to try and change your sleep pattern so that you're ready to arrive in Singapore and be there without having jet lag. It is one massive, oh my God, how disciplined you have to be. Our coach, I mean, it's a bit like I don't know how the Olympic coaches thing, but I imagine it's like that. He would drill into us, and maybe it's a bit much, but at the end of the day it worked. He would drill in that if, you know, every day that you don't spend practicing on your craft, your rivals will be practicing and getting ahead of you, or at least closing the gap. And he said, like, you could have 4 days off a year, otherwise your muscle memory changes. And so, maybe it's a bit much, but like 4 days off. And he was like, you get your Christmas Day, New Year's, Easter, and then he was like, and pick another one. But you know, you have to train every single day. And yeah, it was a lot, but it got me to where I am. A lot of tears, a lot of sacrificing, you know, with your sports diet as well. Had to be careful there. I took it too far and got an eating disorder, so I had to get myself back out of that. But you got a diet that keeps you in shape and gives you enough energy. So for that, it's just, a lot, basically. It is hard. It's hard, and you know, there are moments where you're going to be like, especially if you do all that and then you get to the competition or you get to whatever and it doesn't go as well as you want it. It's really hard. So I think what has made me carry on is to remember that I have had a goal, but the feeling that I'll have when I reach that goal, and also how much I love it. Because if you lose the love of it, I always think, you know, just stop doing it.
Yeah.
But if you remember in those hard times that you do love it, and you still have that feeling when you go out onto the dance floor or when you go out onto a stage, then you get through it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all of that blood, sweat, tears. That's what they say, isn't it? Those are the three. That you're doing it because you love it. If you don't love it, why are you doing it? Don't put yourself actually pointless. It's no point doing it for other people. I say this, I teach kids. I run a theatre company for children, and kids all the time, they'll come into rehearsal and they'll be like, oh, I don't want to do it, Jen, I'm not feeling it. And I'm like, I'm not feeling it today either, but we're going to do it, and we're going to push through it because we're here, because we want to be here. And if at that point we think we don't want to be here and we're not, you know, we're not ready to put in the time and the effort here, then we need to leave, because you know, it's got to be about that, hasn't it?
Oh, totally. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the sacrifice if you love it. Yeah.
And what talk us through some of your dancing highlights or like proudest moments for you?
Okay, so I think what my first big memory of having like a real achievement was it was a British Championship, and I was dancing with my brother. So when we were kids, we didn't have to dance like you see a rumba or sexy. It's just more basic steps. So we danced together, and we won our first British Championship when he was 11 and I was 10. And it was in Blackpool, Winter Gardens. And we've even got the video cassette tape of it. And we're just in the back and like nervous. And the guy's saying, and the winner is, and they call us out. And it was just like a real family achievement. So I think that was probably my first one. Obviously, then after all because it was it took me 26 years of practicing and of sacrifices and everything to get there, and I won the world championship in 2013. So that was obviously a massive moment for me, because I was just like, I've finally done it. And there's actually a video of that on YouTube. It's in Italian, so you can't really understand what's being said, but my face is like, I almost look really sad, but it's not that. It's just that I'm like, oh my God, I've done it. I've done it. That's it. What now? I've done it. It's that kind of
almost. Yes, all of that hard work, you know. You've done what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I started dancing at 4, and it took me 26 years to get to my goal. And at that moment on the podium, it's just like, you can see it in my face. I'm like, done it. I'm not even like, yes, like that. I look sad. And then I think after that, probably winning Strictly with Ore, of course. It's another type of feeling, because yes, it's still dancing, but it's more on your teaching abilities,
of course,
than actually the performance, because actually performance wise we're going to go a little slightly under to help. We're more concentrated on them as we're dancing, making sure that they're going right, speaking through our teeth, making sure it's left, right, up, down, and we're more concentrated on keeping them. And like, the thing with Strictly is it's not just the dancing and the teaching, it's also like, you have to be there, you have to, for your partner, you have to be their support, you have to motivate them. They can call you at any point, even in an evening, and go, I can't get the step, can you help me? Or if they're watching the other couples or see any clips on It Takes Two of somebody else, and they go, oh my gosh, they're looking really good, we could go out, oh my gosh, I don't know whether I can do it. And you have to be there for them. So it's like, it's a whole other type of achievement. So winning Strictly, taking Ore, who was a complete beginner, to that level, and being there for him mentally, and knowing what we've been through together, and seeing his face and his journey and his achievement, that was a real good achievement for me as well. I would say one of the most important ones. And I'd say the latest one was probably going into theatre, since that has been a dream of mine since a child. And it was my first UK tour, so my first big role. I'd done 2 fringe shows before that, but my first big role in a big theatre, and it was Thoroughly Modern Millie. And I turned, the show opens with the doors open. I've got my back to the audience with 2 suitcases, and I turn around, and I will always remember that turn around and start singing, turning around, and then I was like, oh yes, I'm actually living out here a childhood dream. Yes. So
like you say, they're all so different achievements, and they're all, you've kind of like that journey that you've gone on. You talk about your first one being so young, and a family. You did it with your brother and your parents, grandparents, everybody. That support, that must have been amazing. And then, like you say, 20 odd years later, then doing the worlds, that's like the biggest achievement within that field, incredible. And then Strictly, being a teacher is so different from doing it yourself. But you've got to do it yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess like you're passing on your knowledge and your craft, if you like, to somebody else. No idea what it is that you're doing and talking about. You've got to go straight back to the basics.
And there was something about seeing his face as well when we won. There's something about, yes, okay, it was an achievement for me as well as a teacher, and that's this and that, but his journey, that's what's special as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess you kind of had that same feeling as your teachers did,
Yeah.
they saw how hard you'd worked and how much time you'd had to put in and all the sacrifices and things that you'd made, and then you win something is very similar. I get you've got that feeling of pride, I guess, you know, proud of him, not just yourself for him.
Totally, yes.
Amazing. Well, that was actually one of my questions, you know, about how what was it like teaching someone the basics, you know, all the way.
Yeah, I had how many partners on there? I did 2 main series, so that was Scott Mills and Ori, and then I had Russell Grant, Harry Judd, and Stephen McGann. So on like Christmas specials and children in it. So I had someone like Scott Mills. I love the guy. Like we had such a good time. We had such a laugh, but he couldn't put one foot in front of the other. So I was lucky that I got on with my partners. None of them were horrible or like egotistical or anything like that. I was lucky with all of them. But there's such difference between like teaching someone like Scott Mills, and then you have to go down the route of maybe comedy a little bit or whatever. Because in the end I just had to paint him orange and dress him up as Sebastian the Crab to get by, you know. But you know, even him in his small way, if I watch him in week 1, watch back the videos, and then the week we went out was Halloween and we did the Addams Family, and I see an improvement, and it's good. But you've got to try, as a teacher on that, you've got to well, you obviously know all this, but like you've got to try and adapt and see their potential and what they can do and how fast, and make it the most enjoyable experience for them, as well as helping them improve. So you have to push them, but of course obviously make them enjoy it. So yeah, I had very different experience. Then I got someone like Ori or Harry Judd. Harry had already won the main series anyway by the time I danced with him, and then we did the Christmas special together, and they were just naturally like bam, bam, bam. And I was so lucky with Ori in the main series, even being complete beginner. He was so like, I really want to do this. I'm embracing Strictly and do it to the very, very best I can. And we were there we must have done 9 to 12 hours a day practicing, and you know, I had to sometimes force him to stop and have something to eat because we need the fuel. But I was very, very lucky with that. So yeah, you just have it's just different. The different people you get, you just adapt in different ways. Scott Mills loved his bacon butty before we started. So, you know, Russell Grant loves a chat. He absolutely adores dancing. But when I danced with him, we did like 4 hours a day, and we'd get up, I don't know, 4 to 10 times to do the routine and to do little bits. And the rest of the time we just sat and we just had a chat and a cup of tea, and it was great. So just adapting, but like it's a fun experience, and as I said before, like each one has their own journey, and it's great to see that journey, however big or small it is.
Yeah, and it's nice as well when they're enthusiastic. They want to be there. They want to.
Totally. But even then, you get to week 10, 11 of Strictly, and of course everybody's tired, shattered, done mentally, because those result shows are just like, oh my gosh, you hear the music, like done mentally, like. But then again, we had to remind ourselves, you know, how much we love it, how much we just show our best. There's no more pressure anymore, because we had one goal with our 8. It was to get to the Blackpool week, which was week 9. And we thought, you know, him being a non-dancer, let's make that our goal. So we got that goal, and then we were like, right, let's just not chill, but like we can just enjoy it now, because you've reached your goal, you've done it. Got further, got to the final, and we're like, we're against Danny Mac and Louise Redknapp. Like, there's no way we're gonna win, no way at all. I don't think Louise had even been in a dance off ever, and Danny Mac was just amazing. So no, there was no way. So we just said to each other, do you know what? This is our last time probably, we're going to be dancing together ever, maybe. So let's just have the best time. Yeah. No pressure in the slight. We're not going to win. We said ourselves, we're not going to win. Let's just have a laugh. Let's just go out and just show everybody and we called ourselves Team Ojo, what Team Ojo are made of. You know, we came from nothing to get to there. Yeah. So, and that's what we did. And I think that might have helped us win. I think people might have seen that because we were so shocked. I just think it came across that we're having a good time.
Do you know what I liked an underdog always gets it, you know, because I think a lot of the time, as people who, you know, majority of people that watch Strictly wouldn't have a clue whether he was doing it right or wrong anyway, you know, from audience point of view, you want to see people enjoying it. You want to see as well the journey of the fact that he came to you going, I've no idea what I'm doing, I haven't got a clue. You've seen the snippet of rehearsal, and you can see how hard these people have worked, and they show that bit at the beginning and then where he's got to now. I think people just love that. People love the fact that he had no background in it at all. You guys have gone out there. I think people were looking at you guys going, they look like they're having the best time, let's vote for them. And that is what people want to see. They want to see people having a good time, don't they? And dancing and music for a lot of people is a really great escape, and I think there's nothing better than when you're watching someone dancing and having a good time. I
think that must be what people saw, because we'd been in stuff 2 or 3 times, and we thought we'd had no chance, so we just enjoyed it.
That was brilliant. And what is the transition like for you? How have you found it from being a dancer to going into musical theatre? What was that transition like?
It was extremely nerve-wracking, because dancing, you don't speak. So getting up and speaking, whether it's acting or the singing, you actually have to open your mouth and tell a story, whereas in dancing you tell the story by movement and expression. And that was nerve-wracking for me. But as I say, I did always train. I trained, not always, but I trained along. When I got back to England to do Strictly, I trained alongside. So I had my private lessons to try and catch up. And of course, for me, there was that pressure of people thinking that I was just hired because of Strictly and not, whereas they didn't know that I have actually trained. But once I got over that initial, oh my gosh, now I have to open my mouth and actually sound has to come out. Love it. Like, I just, I just have such a passion for singing and being on stage. I went to New York just in January and February I studied musical theatre over there in a school, and then I studied film acting, which I'm very open to trying, but I just have that. There's a difference. I have the passion for musical theatre, so it was just the childhood dream lived out, but have to train.
That's great, isn't it? Because I think when you start out in musical theatre, there's always a discipline, isn't there, that I think, anyway, not everybody will agree, but there's always a discipline you're really great at, and then there's a discipline that you're kind of okay at, and then there's that one that you're like, oh god, do I have to do that one? But when it was always, I loved the acting, that was where the passion was, but the singing was the most natural for me, and then every time asked me to dance, I'd go, oh god, no, no, like, but you can move, I don't get it, Jen. And I'd be like, because I knew it was my weakest, I was always like, oh, put me at the back and I'll give it a go, but don't make me go at the front. I can't like, for you, like you say, the dance was so strong, and then they're saying to you, right, well, obviously you've got to sing and you've got to act as well. You're like, oh,
well, I went with a weird mentality. So basically, for me, it's funny that you say that, how you feel about the 3 disciplines. For me, it is more that if I'm in an audition and in a dance call for a musical theatre show, I do waltzes. Everyone thinks that I can get my leg up here, that I can do splits, that I can do flips, that I can, do all this bendy stuff. No, I do waltzes and foxtrots. That's what I'm got to my level at, like that. It's a completely different thing. So I always have that feeling what you have in the dancing as well, in auditions. I try and go near the back, because I also feel if anybody does recognize me or read my CV or whatever, I'm like, oh, they're gonna expect so much, and I can't. So I go to the back with that. With singing and acting, I don't know whether it's come with age. I used to be really, really timid and afraid of everything, but actually I love auditioning, and I just go with that thought. Yes, they think I'm just a dancer, they all think I'm just a dancer, so I'm just gonna go bam, and I just go for it. And I always think that in an audition, you need to go big or you go home.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love the thought that maybe they're surprised that I can actually sing or can actually act, and I have trained, because they always think, oh, you're just a dancer.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I never thought of it like that. Yeah, you know, you're wanting to surprise them because, yeah, they see the fact that you've done all this incredible stuff with dance, and they probably must, yeah, you would just think, oh, well, here she is for the dance call. And then you're like, wow. And that must be really cool, being able to be like, you know, I shocked you.
Yeah, I do like that kind of. I think that's why I like auditioning. I mean, obviously now they know me a bit more that I can, because I've done some shows, but like I still like that people. I still get called, you know, Strictly Joanne Clifton, or, you know, she's just a dancer. I still get that, so I like to give them the surprise.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that's your kind of your title, because when I put on our I put it out to the children that I was going to be asking you some questions, so if anyone had any questions, I led with musical theatre performer.
Oh, that makes me really happy.
Oh, good. I was thinking, oh god, that's not a good thing. That's a good thing.
No, that's great. I love that.
I mentioned that you'd been on Strictly, but I don't know. I just kind of like, I've read a lot of the things that you've said about musical theatre, and I was like, well, this is what she's doing at the moment. So for me, this is what.
Yeah, and that's what I'd like to get to. Of course, I'm grateful for being on Strictly. I'm grateful because it's brought my profile up, and it has put me in the limelight more. So yeah, of course I'm grateful for that. But I would like to be known more as a musical theatre than always connected to she's just a dancer from Strictly. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. This is what you're doing at the moment. So yeah, you've got to get the accolade for that. Yeah. And how do you prepare for roles when you're giving a role? So you said, like, in Thoroughly Modern Millie, and done other musicals. How do you, once you get given that role, how do you prepare? What's the first thing that you do?
Well, it's more for me. It's more like I prepare for how. Well, I guess if we start it from before an audition. So once I'm contacted to audition for, if my agent says, oh, you've got this audition coming up. So what I'll do is I'll watch the film of it, or whatever version there is available of it, to get an idea of how it should be. But then I always think to myself, and I think a lot of performances, I would never. So in Thoroughly Modern Millie, it was Julie Andrews. Now Julie Andrews, massive blooming film star, musical star. I'm never going to be Julie Andrews. So I'd watch the thing to see roughly how it's going to be, but then I'd go into the audition and into the show. So I'd watch the film again after, if I got the role, and it's the same process. Yeah. I'd go in and add my own, because there's no way I can ever, if Julie Andrews, I'm not going to try and be Julie Andrews. So I have to bring something of my own. The same as Jennifer Beals in Flashdance, Ginger Rogers in Top Hat, when I did Top Hat on the Fringe. Like, there's no way I can be Ginger Rogers, so I'm not going to even try. I just bring a general gist of how it should be. Yeah. And then bring my own to it. And I try to do that, like Susan Sarandon in Rocky Horror. Again, I could be, she's like a massive Hollywood star. Like, I can't be that. So I went in for that audition, and it was like a floor show bit. So you have to come forward and do your solo bit that's in the show as Janet Rice. And so I went in and I just gave it cha-cha-cha. I gave it all my Latin moves and gave it all sexy. And they've never had a Janet that danced. But I just thought, I'm just going to give them something that, if they're seeing all these Janets, that maybe something slightly different. So when I went in for my very first show, which is a Fringe show called Face the Music, it doesn't have that song in it. Don't know why. But yeah, it was called Face the Music. And I was only up for a part. I was actually no name. It was a featured ensemble part, no name. And yeah, I went in and I had to sing the song that she sings, and there was a bit in it that said, I lay upon a piano or an organ. Well, in the audition I did that to the MD. So he was playing and I just started laying across, and he was like that. So I was thinking, you just go big and go bold, because if that was an advice that I would give to students who go to audition, like, do something that makes you stand out. Never go underneath. Always come out knowing you've given it 100% or more. And also, like, the people behind the desk, seeing whether they want to hire you. It's it's always better for them and easier for them to bring someone down if it's too much than to have someone in front who's not quite enough and trying to get something out of them. So that's why I think always give it more.
Exactly. Well, I think the thing is, if you've got someone who you think, oh God, they'd be brilliant if they just did.
Yeah.
If they can't just do, you've hired them, and then you think, oh, you can't do. Whereas you've got someone who you think that needs a little toning down, you know they can do that because they've given the biggest and the best.
Yeah.
When you've got someone who you just want to pull up, sometimes that is their potential. That's them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pulling up. There is no, that they've given their all. So I always say that to my kids, come on, give it even more. And if it is too over the top, or if it's not quite what we want, we can tone that down.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Or potential, I'm just going to move on to the next person who does give it large, because I know that they can do that.
And even if you do struggle with something, do something different that makes sense. So I was actually up for a different role on that same show, and it was a tap role. But again, they thought, dancer, she'll be fine. Let's bring her in. I couldn't tap. I had no idea. Went in the dance call. Obviously, they started. Everybody else could do tap, and it was like, do this, blah, 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 giving out all these names which I've never heard of. Like a time step in ballroom and Latin is on the spot, cha cha cha. That's a time step. They were giving it all this, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't keep up. So I thought, there's no point in me being in this dance call and just showing that I can't do that and just giving up. So I turned it into a drive version of the steps that they'd given me. So obviously I was doing it different to everybody else, but I turned it into something. Yes, they didn't give me that role because that is a tap role, but because I was noticed from that first round of dancing, they had me in mind. Let's put her for that other role because that's actually the comedy role and this, that, and the other. And she was able to do that and then, make it into something else.
That people like that. People like the fact that you didn't give up and that you went, okay, I've no idea what you're doing here, but I'm going to show you that I am actually, I can do something and I can. Yeah. And I think people love that. And like you say, it then got you something else.
Yeah, got me a different role. I mean, I'm not saying it's always going to be like that.
No, of course not. No, it's not.
I think like out of like 100 auditions, you'll get, 5 max, the job. So, but at least you make an impression. And then those casting directors and those producers who were sat behind the desk will remember you for maybe another show, another time.
That casting director or that producer or somebody had noticed 2 years previous you'd done something for them. They didn't want you then, but actually they think they want to call you for this. Because that's the thing. If you make that impression, it's the same. Like I say to the kids all the time, be respectful to people, treat people like you want to be treated, blah, 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 because you never know when it's your time and you never know when somebody's come across you and gone, actually, they weren't very nice. They were rude, or actually, they didn't put any effort in. Actually, whatever it might be, you never know your time. And actually, you might get sidelined because, you just didn't give it your best, or, you weren't particularly pleasant to someone, or you didn't give time of day. And I think that's so important.
I think it's important that what you just touched on there, even when you walk in a room, however bad you're feeling or however nervous, just be positive, be smiley, be happy, be bubbly, because at the end of the day, they're not just judging you on your talent and whether you're right for the role. They're also judging on how well can they work with you and how well will you fit into a cast of other people. Will you be friendly? Will you be you don't want to be like this one, Right. And also another massive bit of advice that I'd give is that if you sing a song or you do a dance or whatever, and then the director or whoever it is, choreographer, says, okay, can you do it again? But can you try this? Even if you do not agree 100% and you think that your way is much better and you've been told by your acting or your singing or your dancing teacher out, that is the best way. Just take the direction. Just do it. Just do it. Because really, they might not even be saying that the way that they're saying it is the better way of doing it. They might be testing you to see if they can work with you. Yeah. So if they give you a no, then will you take it? Yeah. So just always take the no. Always.
I say to my kids, say yes, and then figure out how you're doing it later on.
Exactly.
I say to them all.
Once you've got the job, then you can have a discussion about it.
Of course you can.
But get the job. Absolutely. And it's just as important to be as open and as talkative and as nice and agree with the people like who are maybe going to hire you as your actual performance in the room. On Strictly, so weirdly enough, it connects. So you've got your 90-minute dance, which of course the judges are judging you on, but who are actually voting for you are the audience and stuff like that. So I always say to my dance partners, and or especially, I was like, that 90-second clip of talking beforehand, when they say, oh, next up it's Ori and Joanne, and there's a 90-second clip of our training or of the silly things that they make us do before a dance or whatever, they're just as important as the 90 seconds, because it's 90 seconds and 90 seconds. Okay, and you've got to come across as great when you're dancing, but also you've got to be a nice person and positive and happy. Don't make people go, oh, don't really like that. So it's just as important in an audition that actually when you walk in the room, say hi, smile, be open, take notes if they give you notes. I always think it's really important to say hello and thank the piano player.
Oh my God, I know.
Thank the piano player, because bless him, he's just there all day, just singing, just playing every song for every person. They met hundreds of people in there that day, and he's just there, dum 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 dum. Just say thank you, and it just shows that you're a nice person. And
I remember going to a workshop. I must have been about 18, and it was one of my first workshops that I ever did in London, 17, 18, something like that. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified. And yeah, I remember going into the room, and I must have come across very nervous and very just help. And I remember afterwards we got feedback, because it wasn't an audition, it was an audition workshop. So obviously we got feedback on our skill, our repertoire, our personality, etc. And the pianist actually said, all day I've been here doing workshops, and you were the only person that thanked me.
There you go.
And like for him, he said, to be fair, like you weren't the best vocalist we had today, and your nerves very much took over your performance, and I really work at that. He was like, but actually, as somebody who I could work with, he was like, you've got a voice. He was like, and you've actually got a really nice manner about you.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd have been happy to sit there and work with you, although you weren't technically the best, and although you and I think that it goes such a long way.
Exactly. And what people don't realise sometimes is that piano player might be the MD of the show, so they actually have a say.
Yeah.
So make sure you thank them and be nice.
This guy actually was an MD. He was like, honestly, he said, I'm obviously, this is just a workshop. He said, but I am actually an MD. I am a West End MD. He was like, so for me, he was like, you'd have been the person I'd have actually considered over everybody else, because
there you go.
Manners cost nothing. That age-old thing, isn't it? Your granny will always tell you manners cost nothing, but it's true. And I think, you as personable as you are, that has to match the talent and the technique, if not overrule it.
Yeah, agree totally.
And I asked some random questions now. So my first question is, top 5 guests at a dinner party. If you could have a dinner party with anyone in the world, who would they be? You'd have to.
Apart from locked, if we were, do you mean if we're not in this? Because in this situation, I'm like my mum, my boyfriend. But after lockdown.
Normal.
Okay, so my biggest idol, I think, is Imelda Staunton.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, and that is the only role that I say I definitely have to play before I die. Gypsy, her Mama Rose in Gypsy. And I'm not old enough yet, but that's my role. That's my dream role. So I saw her in the West End do it, and I had to go back 5 times to watch. It was just something else. So Imelda Staunton, pick her brains. I think my favourite role that I've ever played and had to study was actually Marilyn Monroe. It was only it was a fringe show, but I had to obviously play an actual real person, so I had to study her. And fascinating. So I'd love to have her at the table. Gosh, who else? Maggie Smith is another one of like an actress who I just adore.
And she's just done like everything bar the kitchen sink, so you could literally pick that woman's brains.
Yeah, absolutely. So Maggie Smith, Mel Staunton, Sutton Foster.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Oh, so this is the thing. My manager Sam, who I think you spoke to, he gives me homework. I have homework every week, and it's like, because I didn't train in a school, vigorous training, I have to like research and stuff. He gives me a different person every week to study, write down what they've done, how their career started, how did they get into it, this, that, and the other, and then watch interviews with them and watch performances. Sutton Foster for me is just, I feel like we're the same person.
She is incredible.
Oh, absolutely love her. I love her work ethic. I love the way she's like down to earth with everything, like her interviews. And of course, she's done the types of roles that I want to do, including Totally Wonder Millie. But like, she's done Sweet Charity and Anything Goes and things like that. And they're all roles that I want to do. So Sutton Foster, I'd have there. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Who else? Notice I haven't said any men.
Do you know what? I was just thinking that's very female heavy. I asked somebody else this question a couple of weeks ago, and it was a guy, and he said all guys, and I was a bit like, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously Brucey. Oh. Bruce Forsyth. If that was to go for a man, I'd probably have Bruce Forsyth there just to talk about his career and. Yeah.
Extensive career.
Yeah. Maybe Bruce. Maybe I'll have Brucey, yeah. Go on.
So all the people within the industry somewhere.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And mainly for musical theatre, actually. I realise I haven't actually said any ballroom dancers.
Okay. You've had very, very many years of sitting
yes.
with them.
I think I've met everyone in the ballroom dancing world anyway, so I'm trying to think of people who I would have to dinner to talk about and learn from and stuff.
I think that would be a really long night of conversation. I think it would have to be a couple of days. Your dinner party would have to be spread out throughout the week.
Definitely.
And if you could own any animal, dangerous or otherwise, what would it be?
I think a little monkey. You know, you can, but I don't know. I see him on Facebook, and like, you know, little videos that come up, and there's like they'll have a little monkey, and they'll have a nappy on it or something. Yeah. Like, do people actually own monkeys in their house? Because I'd love that.
I think so. Yeah, I think you can have one. I mean, I'm sure you must have to have a license for it, right? Because I'm pretty sure you have to have a license for like a sheep. So if you have to have a license for a sheep, you'd have to have a license for a monkey, right?
Yeah. But I just see these Facebook videos, this little tiny monkey. I'd love a fainting goat. I mean, I feel sorry for them that they do faint, but I love watching the videos. Like, they're hilarious. The goat, and you see them there, and then they're just like, run. Done. I'd love to just stand there and watch that happen. Not in a bad way, animal loving.
Yeah.
Fainting. It's just, I'd find it funny. And a panda, maybe. Panda's my favourite animal.
Have you ever seen one of them red pandas?
No.
What? Oh, so after this, I'm going to send you a link to a red panda. So we have like a little, I wish we'd have done this before this point. We have a little like wildlife park where I live in West Wales, and they do like animal experiences. And my brother's girlfriend, for her birthday in March, I've bought her a, obviously she knows about it, but we haven't got to do it yet, a animal feeding experience, and we're feeding a red panda.
I want to feed a red panda. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, have you not seen? Oh my god, they're the cutest things.
Oh,
the little face. I'm going to send you a picture. Please. I will. They really are the cutest things. Yeah, we did a tiger experience for my brother's. I've got a younger brother, and for his birthday I bought him a tiger feeding experience. Oh. I did say, I was like, this will go down in the history of like the 21st birthday rule. You know, for me, I was at drama school when I was 21, so it wasn't a big thing. But yeah, for his 21st birthday, we went and fed tigers. I mean,
nah, that's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. No, that's normal. No, yeah, I was like, they were in their cage, but yeah, you had like these sticks with the meat, and they like jumped up and.
Oh, okay.
Guacamole, yeah.
That's like my friend who goes, my cousin goes like shark diving. I'm like, why would you do that?
Oh, I've said for my 30th birthday, I really want to go swim with alligators or crocodiles.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
My mum, absolute nutter. Like, there's something seriously not right with you.
I agree.
And I think as I've got older, I've got more become more thrill seeking. Is that weird? Because I'm
maybe a roller coaster. That'd be nice.
No, like when I was younger, I was really timid and really shy and really and as I've got older, I've got worse. Like people are like, Jen, this, you should be on the downward, like chilling out, no. I love it. And my last question for you is, what is next for you? So once lockdown is finished and over with, do you know what you're going to be doing?
So I was supposed to be doing Burn the Floor with my brother. So which basically, Burn the Floor is a dance company, ballroom and Latin dance company, who's been around for 20 years, touring. They do the ships, they've done West End, they've done Broadway. They actually performed at Elton John's birthday party. So they're a dance company, a bit like Matthew Bourne's company. And me and my brother were headlining it. And we were kind of doing Burn the Floor does Anything You Can Do. That's the name of it, Anything You Can Do. Obviously, because we're going to have sibling rivalry. We both won glitter balls. And I always won 4. Anyway, but we both won them. And singing wise, now he's in musical theatre as well, so we would be singing against each other and dancing against each other, and then obviously dancing and singing together as well. And it was supposed to be that I should have been doing that now, but it's been postponed. So as soon as this is over, we'll get the theatre booked again.
Yeah,
when we can, and we'll be doing that.
Fabulous, amazing. I'm glad you've got something to look forward to. I don't know whether you're like that, but I love a look forward to.
Oh yeah, definitely. I get anxiety if not.
I know, you're like, I will be sat here forever. Thank you so much for having a chat with
me. I'm sorry I chat a lot.
Oh, no, whole point. It would have been a really 2-minute interview if we'd have just gone.
How did you get into dancing? Oh, my brother does it.
Yep.
Okay.
No, it's good when things lead on to other things, we were chatting about something and I was like, oh, actually that refers back to the question, or that's good.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll send you the link to it so you can.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I enjoyed that. So cool that you're doing this.
Yeah. Just different types of people. I mean, like I say, a lot of musical theatre performers, but I mean that's kind of the field that I'm in, that's they're the contacts that you have, I guess, a lot of people have been like, I'll do it, and they kind of pull in a favour, and that's really nice. But it was nice to just get in touch with people that I thought the kids would find interesting. Other people would just like to listen to what they've been up to, because you just don't get that when you go and watch a show. You've got the little blurb about them in the program, but I mean, not like when you're these big Hollywood actors who have all these interviews all the time. You just don't talk to them and actually chat about how they've got where they are. And
it's awesome. I love that. You should be a presenter.
Well, let's add another string to the bow. Why not? It's been great.
You're really natural. You should totally be a presenter.
Thank you. I'm going to take your word for that.
You should.
I'll be like, well, she said, so
yeah. Have a go. I think you should. I think you could.
Well, have a lovely, I was going to say weekend, but it's Monday.
Yeah, well, have a lovely lockdown week.
I know.
Another one.
I'm
Get the gin.
God, always. You don't need to.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. Take care, love. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Huge thank you to Joanne for giving up her time. I hope you enjoyed listening to that interview as much as I did chatting with Joanne. It was great to hear all about how she started at such a young age, competing, moving into musical theatre. Amazing. Lots more great guests to come. Stay tuned, take care, stay safe. Bye-bye.